Your headliner, he got his start in Austin, but he's gone on to do a bunch of great things. He's been on the Your Mom's House podcast with Tom Segura a bunch. He's a co-host of the Worldwide of Dougs with Doug Benson, and he's going to be in a movie coming out soon called The Disappearance of Toby Blackfoot, Cap City. Let's get it as loud as we can here for your headliner tonight. Give it up for Doug Mellard!
Hey, that guy. Nailed it. We did it, guys. That's all I had. That was my opener and closer. I don't know where to go from here. Hey, give it up for Andrew and Justin, everybody. Make some noise. Thanks for coming out on a Wednesday and getting tanked with me. It's always a fun crowd. You guys are down to party on a Wednesday night. See, we have a bucket of beer. Anybody going for the bucket? Fuck yeah. All right. You're going to like my Roadhouse joke later. I'm going to be honest. It's been weird the last 3 minutes or so. Everything that happened to me backstage kind of happened in a dream last night. I'm having a total deja vu. And then even looking around, seeing some of your faces, I recognize some of you from the dream. It's really freaking me out. I will clarify, it was a good dream. Except for you, buddy. It gets weird for you later tonight. Hope you like powdered donuts and you have a baby fetish, but we'll see. Oh, boy. Guys, like a lot of you, I've had a few awkward Zoom mishaps the last couple of years. Oh, it's the worst. My most recent one, my wife was doing physical therapy over Zoom, and I assumed I was out of the picture. Why would she put me in the screen? And doing my best to stay out of there. And about 40 minutes into their session, I hear a stranger say, "Sure looks like your husband is having fun." And I was just at the corner of the couch, just trying my best to stay out of the picture, doing a horrible job of that, eating not one, but 4 hard-boiled eggs, like some kind of fucking monster, in my boxers. And I was having fun. There's no rebounding from that, you know? I didn't know what to do. I wish I just frozen with one of the eggs in my mouth, like it was some weird glitch. And that's that memory of me for that person for the rest of their life. Did physical therapy with some woman and her husband that was like Gollum with eggs. I love dogs. Any dog people here? Hell yeah. You even knocked on the table. You really love dogs. Oh, you're going to love this segment. I love dogs so much. I love dogs so much that my friends make fun of me because I spend about 80% of each day waving to strangers' dogs. They're like, "That's so dumb. Why do you wave to them? They can't wave back." My answer to that is, fuck you. They wave in their hearts. Thank you. Love dogs. I look at corgis like I would look at a woman coming out of the pool, tossing her hair. I'm like, oh fuck, look at that fucking corgi over there. It's fucking adorable. Our dog is some sort of herding dog. She doesn't like to miss out on any of the action, you know? If we leave, she gets so bummed out. She has to be with us all the time. If we're at home with some friends and we're on the couch, she'll just sit in front of us and stare at us like, "I'm doing a good job right now." It's adorable. She can never be away from us. She hates it when we leave. And she just thinks she's missing out on everything. And a few months back in the summer, I was in the middle of a lake on a jet ski tearing ass because I'm cool as shit. And I turned back to my wife and I was like, "This is what Penny pictures every time we leave the house." Well, that usually lands better. We'll go with this. I brought my quarterback sleeve. so I can call audibles. Skipping 6, going to 7. My wife and I like to mess with people. This is one of our favorite things. My wife, at the end of the night, if we have friends over, she'll just like pull out our 40-pound dog and pull it up to her chest and go, well, it's time to breastfeed the girl. Guys, you'd be shocked at how many of our close friends are scared at what's about to happen next. They think it's real. That's insane. We wouldn't do that for free. We'd charge you, idiot. We had to take our dog to the ER a while back. It was real sad. It's pretty touch and go at times. But even in times like that, I can't help myself but to fuck with people, you know? Like, I'm still having fun with a doctor under dire circumstances. Like at one point, she's asking us all these questions about like all the vomit. And I was like, well, when I tasted it, and she like looks up slowly from her notes like, what the fuck? And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm just messing with you. And she was like, you'd be surprised. I've heard much worse. And I'm like, I just said I tasted my dog's vomit. What are you thinking? Oh, I don't even want to know. That's been keeping me up at night. I had a stranger stop me on the street the other day. I was walking the dog. And he was like, oh, your dog's so well behaved. And I was like, you should see her in bed. And then he stopped talking to me, which is exactly what I wanted. You ever met people? The worst. I was walking her not too long ago, and this woman yelled from across the street. She was walking her dog, and she's really embarrassed. She's like, hey, I'm so sorry to stop you, but I don't have any more poop bags. Do you have one I can spare? And I was like, I sure do. And then I slowly unrolled a shit bag. And then I took a shit right out of the bag while I maintained eye contact, threw it at her feet, and I was like, you'll never forget again. I was everybody in the neighborhood was notified on Ring about that later. We took our dog to like this beach in Santa Barbara one time, and our dog has to be on the pitch count when swimming because she'll swim till she dies. She just loves it so much. We have to watch out because we have to reel her in eventually, you know, because she will die. We realize it's been too long because she comes up back onto the beach and she just has the most diarrhea ever on these beautiful white sands. It's because she's been inhaling just so much salt water. Poor girl. We feel awful. It's this pristine beach. We can't do anything about it. You can't pick up diarrhea on the beach. So we just quickly kick sand over it, stick a stick right in the middle so we know where it is. We walk away, and not 2 minutes later, we look back, and there is a little boy building a sandcastle around the stick with very movable clay. He's building a great castle. Not a castle you want to storm, I'll tell you that much. This is how much I love dogs. I love dogs so much that a while back I was watching my wife pet a stranger's dog, and I got weirded out by how much enjoyment I got out of it, you know? I was like, oh God, that's real nice, you know? That is good. And that's when I realized I am some sort of dog cuck, you guys. Yeah. It was a weird joke. You guys know the song Okie from Muskogee by Merle Haggard? Yeah, 3 people? Cool. I went to Muskogee, Oklahoma right now this summer, and I am here to tell you that Merle Haggard is full of shit. That town is no fun at all. I used to love that song, but I should have known the town was gonna suck. The first line is how they don't smoke pot in that town. It's like, that's not a way to sell your city. Hey, we're fucking squares over here. We tried to check into our hotel, and that should take, 2 minutes? But not 2 minutes in, the woman behind the front desk starts choking violently, just so hardcore, has to step away from the desk, and she like every once in a while look up at us, she's just just choking, and she'll say stuff like, "It hurts! It hurts! I'm choking on my own spit!" I'm like, why does it hurt? Is it acid in like your what's happening? Are you a demon? And then, for whatever reason, between my wife and I, she points to me and she says, "You get it, it's probably happened to you before." I was like, why me? There's two of us here. I gotta question my life choices. We didn't check in, we just drove on to Arkansas, which wasn't much better. Dog cuck did it. I complimented a woman on her pants recently. I stopped her on the street and I was like, "Hey, I love your pants." And then she looked me up and down as if to scan me for something to compliment. And then she just said, "Thank you." It's like, fuck you, lady. It's pretty easy to lie. In her defense, I was only wearing Crocs, so I kind of get it. I don't know if you've ever listened to Charles Manson's music before, but I gave it a whirl recently. He has some folk records out there. I had no idea. I gave it a whirl out of morbid curiosity, and guys, it's pretty good. Kind of freaked me out. I was like, what does this say about me, you know? Am I going to murder somebody? And then what freaked me out even more was that like the artist that the algorithm like suggested, I was like, oh, I gotta feel way worse for them because that's horrible, you know? Like, oh, if you like Charles Manson, you'll really love James Taylor. Did not see it coming. But serial killers are always real quiet, so it makes sense. We do have a Ring at our house, like a camera or whatever, and you get these updates around your neighborhood that are insane, mostly stupid. And one such, there was a guy that was like, at 3 a.m., a man came to our door wielding a knife, but he left when I opened the door. My question is, why the fuck did you open that door? I don't know who I'm more afraid of, the guy with a knife or the guy that welcomed death. What did you think he was gonna do? Tickle fight! Who here has seen the film Roadhouse? Yeah, hell yeah. Teased it up top, here we go. If you haven't seen the film Roadhouse, the greatest film of all time, here's a quick synopsis of the film. It's about a guy named Dalton that goes around to kind of nasty bars and rip guys' throats out. That's pretty much it. It's got everything you need in a movie. It's got Patrick Swayze in his prime, sporting the most wonderful mullet the universe has ever known, and wearing the most denim a human can possibly wear. And it also features some of the best cinematic writing in history. We all know the line, "Pain don't hurt." That's a good one. But one that I feel like gets by a lot of times. This is my favorite line, my wife's as well. About 4 minutes, 26 seconds in, I've seen it a lot. A woman walks up to the bar and orders a vodka rocks, which, first of all, holy shit, that's just a giant shot. But I'm not judging, that's what I'm drinking. And then a gentleman walks up to her and says, "Hey there, vodka rocks, how's about you and me get nipple to nipple?" Yeah, that's in the movie. "Hey there, vodka rocks, how's about you and me get nipple to nipple?" There were executives that sat around a table in Hollywood. They watched that line unfold and they're like, that stays in the picture for sure. That is our Oscar moment right there. Now, my wife and I quote this film so often, particularly that line, that when we say that around the house, "Hey there, vodka rocks, how's about you and me get nipple to nipple?" That's like saying, "I love you." Or "good morning," you know? And a few weeks back, my wife had her car at the mechanics, which is about a half mile away, and she's taking a walk to go get it. I happen to be driving home at that time. I see her. I do a U-turn. I pull up next to her. I yell out the window, "Hey there, Vodka Rocks! How's about you and me get nipple to nipple?" I say this to her so often, it doesn't even faze her. She just gets in the car. We drive on like nothing happened. And then cut to a few hours later, my wife starts cracking up, and I'm like, "What is so funny?" And she was like, "There were other people on the sidewalk when you yelled that to me. And then I got in your car. They think that line worked on me." And I'm like, "Hell yeah." And we are divorced now. It's crazy. Now, I just hope that the other gentlemen that were like on the sidewalk that watched that play out, one of them tried that line that night, and inevitably ended up engaged at a bar. Any psychedelic fans here? Mushroom people? Any? Yeah, that guy's really into it. I can tell you're not on mushrooms currently by that enthusiasm. That's too much. If you're on mushrooms, you just send me a message with telepathy. I'm so quiet. I can't talk to humans when I'm on mushrooms. I love mushrooms. They're the shit. It's religion for me. Oh my God. Mushrooms are my favorite excuse also for solicitors, you know? Like every once in a while we all pass by somebody trying to get us to like give money to a cause, and you feel bad if you don't have the time. So this is what I just yell to them, like, "So sorry, I just took so many mushrooms and it's kicking in right now," and I walk off. Nobody should feel bad in that scenario. They get a story out of it. It's as good as donating, I think. Same thing, you know? She's got a story for life. That's great. We do mushrooms all the time. I took them before the show. We'll see if they kick in later. End of my set's gonna get real weird. No, I didn't take them. After the show, we were eating so much a bit back, and at one point we got very hungry, but we didn't know what to do about it. You know, we were like, "What do we do?" Because we didn't want to go to a restaurant. Because again, I don't like to talk to people on mushrooms. It's impossible. We were too far gone, and we didn't want to like call a restaurant because again, can't talk to someone. I tried to use Postmates on my phone, but every time I pull out my phone, I would just stare and giggle at how tiny my fingers were for what felt like hours. And then finally, I had this great idea. I was like, "Hey, I've got it." And my wife's like, "What?" And I was like, "There's a great restaurant around the corner that features some kick-ass baked mac and cheese." And she's like, "Okay." And I was like, "We also have a very smart dog." My wife is listening. She's like, "Okay, and?" I'm like, "What if we wrote on a piece of paper mac and cheese, and then we tuck it under her collar, we send her on her way?" And my wife was like, "That's brilliant. Let's do that." She is a very smart dog. Guys, I attempted to write mac and cheese on a piece of paper many, many times. But we were right back to the tiny fingers conundrum, laughing like fucking idiots. And eventually my wife stops me anyway. She's like, "This is a terrible idea. We can't do this." And I was like, "Why?" "You just said it was a great idea." And she was like, "How is she gonna pay for it?" As if that were the only flaw in this plan. There were so many holes to poke in this. Like, how is she gonna carry it? How does she know what her objective is? This was also when we were staying in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where there's like bears and shit. Could you imagine if our dog had gone missing under those circumstances, you know? Like, she just like goes missing, our friends and family have to console us, like, "Oh my God, we heard about Penny. What happened?" "Oh, I'll tell you what didn't happen. We didn't eat a bunch of drugs." And then send her into the wilderness to get mac and cheese. No. She was dog napped. For sure. People are fucked up. Later that night, we continued to eat mushrooms. We kept leveling up, eating more and more. And at one point, our dog Penny runs over and brings 3 dog toys and lines them up at my feet, which seems insignificant unless you're at the plane of existence that I'm at in that moment. I look at these 3 toys, I look at her, and I start to realize that she is trying to communicate with me. And I realize if I turn them a certain way, I can communicate back. Since the dawn of time, man has wanted to communicate with their dogs. I was about to crack that code, bridge that gap. And right about then, my wife walks in, grabs all 3 toys, throws them across the room, and I was like, no! And she was like, what? And I was like, you ruined my research! She's like, what are you talking about? I was like, I don't remember. And then we watched Roadhouse again and had a great night. Roadhouse on mushrooms? Fucking perfect. My wife has been doing mushrooms longer than I have. She got me into them because my first attempt at mushrooms at age like 18, I just had an 8-hour panic attack. That was no fun. But eventually got into them. Now I do them all the time. And although my wife is more experienced at mushrooms, she still will make some rookie mistakes. Great example. Almost every trip we have together, she will attempt to take photographs of her hallucinations. Spoiler alert, you can't do that. She'll like see something and be like, I'm gonna take a picture with my phone. I'm like, it's not gonna work. Like a while back, we were just tripping balls, walking around, and she sees this rock, and she's like, quick, give me your phone, I don't have mine. And I was like, why? And she was like, I gotta take a picture of this rock. Looks just like this painting I know. And I was like, I'm telling you that picture is not gonna turn out. You don't need to do this. And she was like, I have to see this later. I need this photo. We argue a little bit. She ends up just taking my phone out of my pocket, hovers over the rock, takes the picture, drops my phone. My phone is shattered. And it was a pretty big bummer, but we're on mushrooms, we get over it. Next day, I have to go get a new iPhone, and we eventually get to see this photograph of this rock. And she looks at it, and she was like, you were right, it was just a rock. And I was like, yeah, an $800 picture of a fucking rock. Thank you. I found out the perfect amount of mushrooms, if you're curious to take. You know, it's hard to like know exactly how fucked up you want to get, but this is the perfect amount in my book. We were on a bunch of mushrooms at one point, and the next morning, I saw that in my outgoing email box, I had emailed a local air conditioning company and asked them, hey, is that guy in your commercial with the silly mustache God? That's the appropriate amount of mushrooms. That's the perfect amount. Do that. I had a great time. We like to, go to concerts and stuff. We went to a music festival at one point, and we were on a lot of mushrooms and happened to be in a mosh pit, which those two things don't go together at all. Mushrooms, are you trying to be like serene, and then people banging into you is awful. Just like 40 grown men slamming into each other, and we're just trying to move over, but my wife's not having it. She's like, no, I want to stand right here and watch the band. And I was like, but we're just gonna get banged into. She's like, no, we're not. And I was like, well, you can't stop a mosh pit. And I am not convincing her. Right as I say that, a gentleman just slams right into her, and she turns and she grabs him by the arm, and that's when I think, well, this is where I die. He's not gonna fight her, he's gonna fight me, and this guy was huge. She grabs him by the arm, and then she just points in his face and goes, no! Stop it! And guys, he did. It was fucking incredible. Not just him, all 40 dudes, just the mosh pit stopped. And she like turns around confidently, to them, and then she looks up at me, and she was like, did I just stop a mosh pit? Her eyes were like big as saucers. And it's like, I'm pretty sure you did, but we're on a lot of drugs right now. We could be in our living room right now. I don't even know. And now that I know she has this power, I abuse it all the time. Anytime there's a bad situation, I'm like, do your pointy thing again. She's like, I can't. I don't have my mushroom powers. My wife is way bolder than I am. Oh my God, like that, later that night, we're just like in the crowd watching this band play, and this stranger turns around to her and just hands her like a Starburst without a wrapper. And my wife just grabs it, gulp. My wife had never done acid at this point, and I was like, you know that was definitely a lot of acid. And she was like, yeah, but Starburst sounded really good. That is bold. I really appreciate that, but it's also horrible cost-benefit analysis, you know? Worst part, it was a fucking lemon Starburst. Why would you do that? Like, pink, I get it, you know? God, day one of that festival, day one, we camped out for 3 days. Morning one, we wake up in our tent. My wife panics. She was like, oh my God, I can't see. And I was like, what? She's like, I'm fucking blind. And I was like, shut up. I thought she was joking with me. I do this in front of her eyes, nothing. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And she's like, oh, she starts crying. I'm freaking out. And I was like, look, it's probably just because we've only sustained on vodka and mushrooms for the last 24 hours. You probably just need like water or food. So I hand her a thing of string cheese. And she was like, are you fucking kidding me? This is your solution? And I was like, yeah, just try something. And she eats it. And guys, seconds later, her vision comes back. I'm a genius. After the show, if you would help me, just please go out, spread the message that string cheese cures blindness. There should be no blind people out there. You nodded so enthusiastically. I love it. Like, yes, I will get the message across. We went to see that's my favorite laugh ever. Jesus Christ, I love it. We went to see a friend's band play that same music festival. And after their set, we went to the backstage area. There's like trailers everywhere. We were going to go have some drinks in a trailer. But there were two problems. One, all the trailers looked the same. And two, we were on all the mushrooms in the world. So we're looking for this trailer. We can't find it. Eventually, we come up to the trailer. My friend is reaching for the door of her trailer. She suddenly jumps back and goes, oh shit! And that's when we realized it is not her trailer. That trailer belongs to somebody else, another musical act. Perhaps you've heard of them. They're called the Wu-Tang Clan. The three of us idiots almost walked in there tripping face like, hey guys, what's up? Thank God we didn't. Well, they were relieved. I wanted to go in there. I was like, I think we should do this. I still think it's a good idea. I have the universe in my heart right now and I taste yellow. I think they'll appreciate that. And my wife and friend are like, no, you idiot. We're not walking in there. And I'm still bummed out to this day. I have so much regret for that moment, you know? But here's how I find solace. I tell myself all the time that somewhere in the multiverse, there's another me out there, another Doug, that did go in that trailer in that instance, and he is now in the Wu-Tang Clan. That's right. Somewhere out there, it's RZA and Jizza and Ghostface Killah and Doug. Living his best life. Old Dougie bastard. I'm going to skip the next one and call it audible because it gets pretty hardcore, unless you guys think you're up for it. Yeah, you're drinking on a Wednesday. You can handle it. Let's do it. Fuck it. This is about, I'm not supposed to tell this joke. I always get permission when it's about like somebody I care about. I always ask like, hey, you told me that story. You know what I do, right? I want to take this to the stage, and this guy was like, you cannot tell this story. But here we are. Let's just do it. A buddy of mine, great guy. He was gifted something a while back. He and his wife had just had a baby girl. And one night she was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to watch her tonight. I want you to go out and have a great night. Go tear it up. And guys, he did tear it up. He had an amazing night. He did a lot of acid. And cut to 3 a.m., she wakes up to what sounds like running water at the foot of their bed. It is not. It is her husband peeing at the foot of their bed on their newborn baby. Yeah. Now, in his defense, in his trip, he thought their child was on fire, and the only way to put it out was by peeing on her. And that is not easy. Under pressure like that, to just pee on command, that takes guts. He's a hero. But in her defense, their baby was definitely not on fire. The funniest part about this whole situation, she wasn't mad for the reason you think, you know? She wasn't upset for the peeing. She said, in her words, baby skin is durable. If anything, he probably disinfected her or something. She was mad that he got to do acid without her. And that is love, you guys. And that is the story of why my friend's kid is gonna develop a piss fetish. You guys did go along for it. I like it. Wednesday night. We had a friend that was, oh God, we used to go to Joshua Tree and just eat a bunch of mushrooms, and we had this communal bag. We all ate a bunch of mushrooms, and then we agreed there's a bag on this table. If anybody needs to eat a little bit more to get a little higher, go back to the bag. It's for everybody. And guys, about 30 minutes later, we all agreed, most of us. There was one friend that was off to the side. We all talked about it. We're like, I need to feel a little bit more. So we went back to grab the bag. Our friend that was off to the side had already eaten all of the rest of the communal mushrooms. We should have known anyway, because immediately after we would have known, because we see her just streaking across the horizon, sprinting across the desert, and then she comes back 20 minutes later, equally sprinting, just covered in sweat, and she's holding, somehow she found a DVD with Jackie Chan on the cover with a feather glued to it, and she was like, look, it's a sign. What? And the next morning, we wake up, and she was like, guys, I had a great time. And we're like, no shit, lady. You had all of our great times. Guys, do you think that butterflies have tattoos of annoying drunk women? On the lowers of their thorax? A guy stopped me on the street the other day, and he was like, Dave? And I was like, no, my name's Doug. And he was like, you look just like my friend Dave. We're best friends. And I was like, buddy, I hate to break it to you, but if you don't know what Dave looks like, I don't think you guys are best friends. It's even crazier. He walked 8 more feet, and he stopped this old black woman who was on a walker, and he was like, Dave? How does that guy get through life? I was, I feel like you're on mushrooms, because that laugh came in late. I love it. Hand them over. I was at the airport here in Austin recently, and it was an early flight, like a 6 a.m. flight, and there's this little girl that was playing peekaboo with my wife and I, and she was so cute, and eventually I just asked their mom, I was like, oh, what's your daughter's name? And she said, Lenny. And I was like, oh, Lenny, like from Of Mice and Men? Yeah. Fucking 6 a.m., cut me some slack. I was very tired. I'm not an early riser. Like that book where the guy was so dumb he accidentally killed rabbits all the time, and then they murdered him like him, right? And you could see the wheels turning in her head like, fuck, I didn't think of that. And I was like, well, it's a cute name, gotta catch a flight. And I just left. Sure, she had a wonderful day. God, she's still out there hating me somewhere. Oh, this is new. Is anybody else obsessed with Florida Man like me? You guys like reading about Florida Man? Just makes you feel better that we live in Texas, you know? Because it's like, there's a dumber state. I want to read you a few of my favorite Florida Man stories over the last year, if you guys are into it. Here we go. This was the headline. Florida man crashed car in a FedEx truck while receiving oral sex. When asked to comment, the man said, "The good news is my package was handled perfectly, if you know what I mean." Get it? Hell yeah, blowjobs are kick-ass, brother. And then he shot a gun into the air, chugged a natty light, and sang Sweet Home Alabama. Here's the second headline. This is, Florida man gets bitten by alligator after mistaking it for a dog. The only way this could be more of a Florida man headline would be if it said, Florida man and area Hoobastank Brooks and Dunn hybrid cover band singer arrested after fist-fighting libtard and face-fucking a catfish while shooting fireworks at local strip club and high-fiving a racist alligator in celebration of his sister giving birth to a son, Daryl, in a Fort Lauderdale Waffle House. God bless Florida, you guys. Here's another. Florida, God, I mean, like, how the fuck, what is going on over there? What is in the Mountain Dew in Florida? Florida man can't visit mother's grave due to mysterious ooze leaking from mausoleum. This is real. When asked to comment, the funeral home director said, "This is fucking Florida, dude. Of course there's ooze coming out of his mom's grave. We're disgusting ass people. I don't know. If you don't want slime oozing out of a grave, go to Connecticut, Mr. Fancy Pants. Jesus Christ. Who does this guy think he is, Mr. Peanut? You don't even want to know the shit that was coming out of my Pap's grave." That laugh, you gotta come to all my shows. It's amazing. Here's another. Florida man threw his 2-month-old baby at police after a high-speed car chase. Yeah. Surprisingly, the man still won Florida's Dad of the Year award in a record landslide, with voters unanimously agreeing he is the most fit father to win the award in their state's history. One more. Here's the headline. Florida men on their way to get tacos survived plane crash in the Everglades. One of the men was quoted as saying, "I would say this is rock bottom, but I once crashed a blimp on the way to get a chili dog." And the other man said, "Today was pretty kick-ass. On a scale of 1 to 10, my dick is rock hard right now. I fucking love tacos." Give it up for Florida, hell yeah. I just wanted to drink vodka. Nope, not doing that one. No, it's so stupid. I was watching the Cowboys be terrible the other day, and I heard the announcers say, "I love I'm a Cowboy. I'm from Dallas. Oh, it's painful. You're Dak. What is he doing?" Anyway, I was watching the Cowboys play, and the announcer was like, "Can't script it better than that" for the other team. And I was like, I saw Shawshank Redemption. It's pretty good. It's better than watching a movie about a guy throwing 10 interceptions. Well, that was the first attempt. We'll say it's a 3. Guys, you guys remember 2020? You guys remember that? I like to bring the room to a halt. Just bum everybody out, like, fucking, we don't talk about that. Yeah, that year, just people dying of COVID. We get that number in our faces all the time. We all just trudge on, like, nope, not happening. We're just gonna put our heads in the sand. We gotta just keep gritting this out. And it just all became white noise. There was so much bad news that entire year, all the time, that we just all had to just keep trudging on. And then one day, Taco Bell announced that they were doing away with the Mexican pizza. What the hell? And that's when people got upset. People were irate. You heard his reaction. It was like, look, people can die of whatever. That's fine. People suck. We all know that. But like low-grade beans shot out of a tube onto a stale tortilla? No. Do not take that away from me. Not this year. People got mad. It was crazy. This guy knows. Like, my social media feed just blew up. People were so pissed off, you know? My friend Max posted a link about the whole ordeal, and then he posted this 500-word essay about all of it, and he said at the end that it was his go-to for good times and bad, celebrations, breakups. And then at the very end, he was like, what was your favorite memory about the Mexican pizza? And people chimed in. Lots of them, hundreds. There was one guy that was like, oh man, it was my go-to. I ate a Mexican pizza after every wrestling match in high school, which is definitely better than before. Wrestling match seems like cheating, just slide them around in your diarrhea. That's it's weird, but... And the whole thing didn't stop there. A few days passed, and Max posts a picture, days later, of a Mexican pizza that he has crafted at home. He looked up how to make a Mexican pizza at home, and he did it. He went through all the stages of grief, landed back on insanity, and was like, it doesn't die on my watch. And his, of course, looked way better because it was fresh ingredients, you know? Oh, God, can you imagine wanting diarrhea that bad? To go to all that work? Holy shit. I got picked up by a Lyft at Austin Bergstrom a few weeks ago, and the Lyft driver didn't speak English, and very early on, he just shoves his phone in my face with Google Translate, and I read what he has in front of me. It just says, do you think I can pass a little gas? I am not making this up. Do you think I can pass a little gas? I laugh in his face. I'm like, this guy is my favorite driver ever. He doesn't speak the language, but he's making quirky jokes. This guy is awesome. Definitely 5 stars. I laugh at him. His face changes immediately. He looks so upset. There's clearly a bridge in communication. I don't know what he's trying to say, and I panic. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want this guy's feelings to be hurt. I'm like, what is he saying? What is he saying? And then I realize, oh, I bet he's asking, do you think I can get a little gas? Fill his car up with gas. And I was like, see. So he pulls over to a gas station, fills up the tank, gets back in the car, and then rips the loudest fart I have ever heard in my life. And I was like, now this guy's just fucking with me. It's not cool. Or it's very cool. I don't know. I don't know what to think of this guy. Speaking of, just kind of staying on subject, staying on brand. I recently had to get a stool sample. Anybody? Anybody had to go through that nightmare? Oh boy, not fun. Not fun at all. Apparently there's a few ways to go about it. This is how I did it. My doctor handed me what looks like a children's plastic cowboy hat. You just put it on the back of your toilet, shit in the hat. And that came with a little kit. It comes with this little tube that has liquid in it to keep it fresh. And then you unscrew the top of the tube, and there's the world's tiniest, worst spoon ever. Doesn't really do anything, it just kind of shoves it around. It's awful. I threw up while I was getting the stool sample. This is one of the worst days of my life. I get the stool sample, I take it back to the doctor, and I hand it over to lab tech, and she's like, you'll get the results in 4 days. And I was like, great. 3 weeks passed, I kind of forget about it. I never heard anything. It's not far from her house. I happen to be walking by, and I'm like, oh, I should go see what's up with the results. So I walk in, I go up to the same lab tech I dropped off the tube with, I met her for 30 seconds as I handed her the shit tube. She looks at me and she goes, Doug? I panicked. I was like, oh my God, my shit was so weird. This lady knows me by my face and name. I'm like, oh, this is not good. She goes on to explain that they have lost my shit in the mail. I'm like, why are you mailing it to anybody? What is happening? Into who? Who are you sending? If I had known this, I would have given you a list of my enemies. That would have been great. Let's have some fun with it, I'm upset, and she's like, well, it's these contractors that get involved. I'm like, how many fucking people are involved in this process? It seems kind of private. And can you imagine that's your job? Hey, what do you do for work? Well, you see, I'm a third-party contractor. People shit in a tube. They hand that to a lab tech. That lab tech puts it in the mail. I intercept that tube of shit, and then I hand it over to another lab tech. It's the world's worst relay team ever. She then explains that I'm going to have to shit in another hat. And she gives me another hat and the vial and all that. I go home. I'm furious. I'm in a bad mood. It was hot that day. I'm walking home. I'm sweaty. Oh, I'm walking home mostly because my car had been destroyed in a hit and run the night before. So I'm not having a good 12 hours. And so I get home with this hat and I fill that fucker up good. You know what I mean? It's a furious, fuck you! Deal with it. Then I realized, oh, that's to my detriment. I'm the one that has to deal with that shit. So I've just fucked myself up. And it's off. I pull out the tube to get the stool sample, and then I look, and there's no liquid in the tube. It's not going to stay fresh, so the sample's probably not going to be good. I'm going to have to shit in a third hat. I freak out. So I panic. I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? So I was like, okay, I'm going to just sprint over there, and I'm going to grab another vial with the liquid so it'll stay fresh, and run back, and I'll just leave the shit in the hat on the floor. Hopefully I don't have to shit in a third hat. So right about then, I bust out of the bathroom door. I'm only wearing latex gloves. My hair is insane. I'm sweaty. My wife walks in the door after visiting her parents for a couple days, and she looks at me, and I look crazy, and I just point to the door, and I go, "Don't go to the bathroom! There's shit in the hat on the floor!" She was like, "I'm never leaving you home alone again." She's a lucky lady. We went to a children's water park in Golden, Colorado a while back. Yeah, we don't have kids. We were just hanging out. And now we were with her baby cousins. And her baby cousins wanted to go down there's these two faster slides. And any children that want to go down these faster slides, they have to have an adult with them. So we would go down these slides with them. And we were having a good time. And then at one point, we pop out of the slides, and my wife panics. And she's like, "Oh my God, I lost my sunglasses. They were on top of my head." And I was like, "It's fine." I yelled at the lifeguard. They turn off the jets for us. We're looking for these sunglasses. We can't find them. We can't find them. Meanwhile, there is a line of children that is growing. They're waiting for us to get out of the way so they can ride the slide. Now, children by nature, already so impatient. But children waiting for a slide, the most impatient creatures in the world. We start to get booed at a children's water park. We keep looking. Eventually, I see the sunglasses. I close my eyes. I dive down. I grab the sunglasses. But guess what else I grab? A human ball of shit. That's right. I jump out of the water faster than any human has ever jumped out of water. It was faster than a dolphin. And I hold my hand for all to see. Every person in that park. I want them to see the streak. I can still feel it right here across my hand. I point to it. I do a 360. I'm yelling to everyone. I'm like, "There's human shit in the water! There's poop in it!" The kids that were booing us not 40 seconds ago now love me. They're like, this is the best day of their life. There's a crazy guy talking about poo-poo, and they get to ride on water slides They're having a kick-ass time. I go up to the lifeguard. I'm still pointing at my hand. I'm like, "This shit here, what are you gonna do about it?" And she's just like, "Look, dude, I'm 15. I'm getting paid $4 an hour. It's a children's water park. What did you expect? There's shit and piss everywhere. Look at my eyes. We all have pink eye, man." It was awful. And to make matters worse, my wife's sunglasses were broken. And I delivered her sunglasses, like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I apologize. Like, I'm sorry your sunglasses were broken." And she was like, "Oh, it's fine. They were $5 at Target." I was like, "What? I touch human shit for $5? And on top of all that, her baby cousins, every time we go down the slides together, I would make the same dumb joke. And they laughed every time. They thought it was hysterical. I would say, "Oh, I just pooped on the slide. It's going to beat us down." For the rest of my life, they were going to think that was my shit in the water. Not cool. It's just think about it before you go to a children's water park. Not the best. I went to a Medieval Times to eat one time, and I got food poisoning, and they just put leeches on me. So stupid. I think it's weird that we can't tickle ourselves, but we can masturbate, you know? Like, what kind of fucked up riddle has God bestowed upon us? I don't know if you know this, but masturbating is like the most tickling a human can do, you know? It's like God doesn't want us to laugh. He only wants us to come. Am I right, huh? I was hoping somebody would be like, "Hell yeah, brother!" One day. We recently lost my grandfather to autoerotic asphyxiation. Yeah. Don't get sad though. He didn't die from it. He just enjoys it so much. He never has time for us anymore. So, he's just a very passionate guy. I got my first low lift rating the other day, but where else are you going to clip your toenails? You know what I mean? Nope, not doing that one. Oh, here we go. Let's do this guy. I'm not space. A friend of mine will say, I almost gave his identity away. My brother-in-law. No, a friend of mine, the other day he was like telling me that he doesn't like to get up to pee in the night. Like if he drinks a lot, like he doesn't like to like get up and walk all the way to his bathroom 10 feet. So what he'll do is he'll just have like cups to like pee in next to his bed. And I couldn't believe he was telling me all this. And then at one point he tells me the story. He's like, "One night I was so fucked up. I just woke up in the middle of the night so dehydrated. Reached over to grab some water. I drank my own piss. And then, this is the most mind-blowing part. He turns to me and he goes, "Has that ever happened to you before?" I was like, "No, I don't think that's ever happened to anybody but you. This is disgusting. Why are you telling me this?" Oh, here's a fun prank. This is great, guys. Here's what you do if you see parents with their baby in a stroller and they're not looking. Always keep a Sharpie on you. Draw a dick and balls on the baby's forehead. They can't do shit about it. And then the rest of the day, everybody's pointing at the baby, laughing, you know? That's a win-win for everybody. The parents are loving it because everybody loves their kid. They're laughing. The kid's getting engagement, you know? It's a fun prank. Do it. What if like 2 days from now there's just like dicks on babies all around Austin? I'm like, "Oh God, I feel terrible." Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah!
Who here knows who Richard Gere is? Anybody? Yeah, fuck yeah, all right. Now, for those of you that don't know who he is, he was this very mediocre actor. that had a lot of success in the 90s. Best known film-wise for the hit film Pretty Woman. But who here knows what he's actually best known for? Hamsters, gerbils, I heard both. Nobody's wrong, it's however you heard it. Hamsters or gerbils, both accurate. So now the people that don't know who Richard Gere is, you're kind of confused. Here's what happened. In the 90s, as Richard Gere's acting career took off, something else took off. A rumor that one night he had to go to the Los Angeles hospital to have a hamster and or gerbil removed from his ass for some kind of sexual pleasure. And like this thing caught fire, like people yelled it out. We all heard this. Like people have known this rumor forever. And the craziest part about this whole thing, this was pre-internet, you guys. There was somebody that hated him so much, they started this rumor and like created a street team of hatred. And they're just like, hey, Richard Gere has a gerbil or a hamster up his butt, pass it on. And they did. That's incredible. And people were bummed for him. They're like, oh, that sucks for that guy. That's awful. And I was like, are you kidding me? I was young at the time, but I was like, no, there's no way. That's crazy. Like, he should be proud. Somebody was so jealous of his success, they had to make up that rumor. That gerbil is a status symbol, you know? Like, I wish people would say that about me, you know? No one ever has, and I currently have 4 gerbils up my ass right now. Now, I just hope that when Richard Gere passes away, which hopefully is a long time from now, I hope that he has a sense of humor about the whole thing, right? Like, next to his tombstone is just a tiny little tombstone that says, my buddy, yeah? That'd be fucking awesome. I always picture like he gets up to heaven and God's like, is it true? And he's so funny. Like that's how far up it goes. I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna do one more joke, but before I leave, get up your wait staff, everybody. Make sure that you tipped them well, and come on back to Captain and Andrew and Justin. Thanks for coming out, you guys. Oh, and I do have a movie that's out right now. Maybe. Oh, I just want to say this because it pissed me off earlier. There was a woman. Some friends of mine and I made this film, and it was a lot of hard work, and it took 3 years to make this fucking thing. It's called The Disappearance of Toby Blackwood. It just came out. It's on all platforms, iTunes, anywhere, VOD, Amazon, whatever. Find it. There's some surprises in there. Local band, Octopus Project, did the score. They're badass. Yeah. There's some big comedians that you love that have cameos and stuff. It's a fun movie. It was a lot of hard work. Anyway, I'm getting to this because I want to make fun of this person that we put these flyers all over this town, Los Angeles. There's a bunch of like people within the movie that put flyers in different cities. They're you've probably seen my dumb face somewhere holding a machete. That's me. I look like a fucking crazy person in the movie. And this woman emailed our website and was like complaining about our litter everywhere. And I just want to say she's a piece of shit. And fuck that lady. We emailed her back. We're like, hey, congratulations. There are flyers all across America, and you're the only person that had a problem. That's cool. We looked her up. She's a life coach. And can you imagine getting life advice from a woman that's like, oh, flyers, no! Anyway, I just had to get that off my chest. Sorry. Also, a PSA real quick. There's a Taco Bell not too far from here. Here are my 2 experiences with it, in case you were thinking you were going to go there afterwards. One night, I was just starving, and I go to this Taco Bell. I go to the drive-thru. It's about to close, and I'm like, I just want my fucking burritos. And I almost make it up there, and then the woman, there's an old lady that is like doing the drive-thru, and I finally pull up, and I'm like, I'm going to get my food. I was relieved because they were closing, and she just says, hey, before we get started, I must let you know I only have beans. I go back 2 weeks later, and that same lady says, just so you know, we had to take 2 burritos off your order because we are out of beans. So there's a bean situation at that Taco Bell. I would just skip it. Anyway. I'll close on this, you guys. You guys have been awesome. I recently accidentally started a dildo collection. Here's what happened. It sounds crazy. Here's the story. Several years back at Christmas time, I was spending it with my future in-laws. Weird way to start the story. And we're passing gifts around. At one point, this nicely wrapped gift comes my way. It's heavy. I shake it, and I point it out to my in-laws. I'm like, oh, this one's from you. I've drawn attention to myself. I open it up, and it is a giant dildo. I swear to God, I look at the dildo, I look at them, I look back at the dildo, I never want to look at those people again. I am confused, scared, I don't know what to say. I'm just like, what do they want me to do to their daughter with this thing? This is a weird family. Right about then, I hear my future brother-in-law start cracking up. And that is when I have realized he has played a wonderful prank on me. He just wrapped up a dick in a box, said it was from his parents, handed it over. That's amazing. I can't get mad at that. That's hilarious. Luckily, they all have a good sense of humor. We laugh about the whole thing. We continue to have a good Christmas, you know? And I think that's the moment where I'm like, I need to marry into this dildo family. These guys are fun. And I do. I proposed to my now wife at that very house. This is in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And we get engaged. The champagne starts flowing. We're celebrating. And at one point, early on in the celebration, my brother-in-law brings this 3-foot box, extravagantly wrapped. I'm in such a good mood. Dildo's not on the radar, you know? There's no way it's a dildo anyway. It's 3 feet. It's not like a yard dick, you know? Guys, I open it up, and wouldn't you know it, it is a drildo. Now, if you don't know what a drildo is, close your eyes right now. Picture the words drill and dildo. In your head, it's exactly what you're picturing. It looks like a Black & Decker drill with a big old dick on the end. The reason the box was so big, it comes with a safety helmet, safety goggles, a reflective safety vest, and the dildo itself features a very powerful light. In case you want to go spelunking in a rather cavernous vagina or whatever. And so we're laughing about it, having a good time. We keep celebrating, and a little bit later, we're about to walk back to the guest house that we're staying at, which is about 100 yards away from the main house, and it's pitch black out, and my mother-in-law was like, you guys can't walk back without a light. It's bear season. There are bears out there. You need a flashlight. And I was like, no problem. We've got the dildo. But here's the deal. You have to press the trigger to make the light go. So we're just like walking along, the two newly engaged lovebirds walking along with this dick flopping around. We're giggling like fucking idiots because we can't help but notice that it has cast a 30-foot shadow of a dick on the road. We're picturing pilots up above, pointing it out to all their passengers. Like, hey, if you look out the left-hand side of your aircraft, you'll see why they call New Mexico the land of enchantment. Guys, I had been going to Santa Fe at that point for 3 years. Never seen one dick. Or one bear, sorry. I had seen many dicks at that point. A lot of dildos. Wouldn't you know it, the one time I am drunk with a dildo, we come across our first bear. Long story short, I murdered a bear with a dildo. I'm joking, he loved it. Really tamed the beast. Hey, that's it for me, you guys. Thanks for coming out. Come on back, support Cap City. You guys are the best. Give it up for Andrew.